Good morning. This Friday, what are we now? The 23rd of July. Um, I'm hiding down in another part of the house this morning because we are in lockdown in South Australia and there's people in my house that can't go to work and they're making noise down the other end of the house. So I thought I would hide down in my room, just so I could make this video for you. I get these downloads all the time, and I was getting this download about when people change, um, and when someone else changes and you don't want to acknowledge that change, or when you change and you would like other people to know that you've changed but they don't know that you've changed. And as I was getting all this download throughout the week, I've actually been coming across a lot of people who are going through exactly this at the moment. So my talk today is about how we react to change within ourselves and how we react to change within other people, and whether or not we allow ourselves to see things in a different way. So, everything in life, all the interactions that you go through in life with other people while you're in either a work relationship, a marriage, a partnership relationship, a friendship, you both have your energies. And when you are together and you're engaging with each other, you bounce off each other's energies. So you react to how they react. That's what you're doing. You're trying to blend your energies, and your reactions are coming from, because you would react totally different to somebody else than you would with someone else, right? You're a different person around different people. It's because of your energy and their energy and the reaction that the energy's creating. So when you're in an interaction with somebody in some form of relationship, you are learning about yourself from what they are giving to you or what they're taking from you. You are learning something about yourself, and they are learning something about themselves. You might not think they're learning something about themselves, but energetically they are. You're always energetically taking on something. So your higher self is taking what it needs. The ego side of you may not see it, but your higher self is getting it, trust me. It's up to you as an individual to go into that higher self to understand it. If you don't want to do that, you won't see it. So what happens, this happened, like an example that I know two people that I've known for a really, really long time. They were married and then they separated years ago, and when they separated, it was not a nice separation. It was a toxic separation where, they loved each other while they were together, and when they were apart, they didn't love each other. They turned it into a hate relationship, which fascinates me, how you can love someone and hate someone the next minute. It's not so much what they've done, it's what you're feeling that you're hanging on to. So I happened to be talking to the female of this couple, and after years of trying to move on, she hadn't actually moved on from her ex-partner. She still saw him in a way of, he did this to me, he ruined my life, he's making my life hard to this day, he did this, he did that. It was all, she was still holding on to all that because there was something in her that couldn't quite clear that the anger yet. There's still anger there. It can quite often be the anger is coming from, I let myself do stuff in that relationship that I am judging myself for now. So I allowed him to treat me a certain way, or I didn't stand up for myself, or whatever it is. There's an anger toward yourself and a need to forgive yourself because you're being so hard on yourself. You weren't responsible for someone else's actions. You were responsible for your reactions. So her whole experience has been trying to teach her, what has this shown about you? What have you learned from it? Rather than hanging on to what it was doing at the time, what has it taught you now? Like, who are you now? Are you a stronger person? Are you more confident now? Like, the focus is on the wrong area. The focus is on the hurt, not on the blessing of what I have become. So she was holding on to all that. Then I was seriously, 2 days later, I happened to come across him, and he was a totally different person to the one I knew years ago. Before he was a very controlling, uptight, stressed out kind of person. He was so calm. He was like really, really calm. And then when I said, "How are you getting along in life?" he was fine. He was like, "Oh, I've got this new job, and I've settled into this new house, and I've got plans for what I want to do, and I'm working on myself, and I'm meditating a lot more, and I'm doing all the things for me to make me be a better person." And he never once, not once, did he mention his ex-partner and blame anything from back then. It's like he'd moved on. So there you've got these two people. Someone's still holding on to it, and someone else has moved on. Who's the person that is still suffering? The one holding on to it. The one holding on to that is the one who's suffering. So if you're, I know it's because it's the ego got hurt. Your ego got hurt. And when you're hurt, sometimes you want revenge. You want to see. I've had people ask me in a reading about karma. Can I see karma happening to someone else? That's not your journey. That's their journey. What if whatever they're going through is what they're learning? If they've done something to hurt you, how do you know that that was what was meant to happen? So both of you got the lesson. And if you chose to take the lesson when you go away from each other, you break that energy cycle, and with different people, you are different people. But sometimes when the lesson comes, if you choose not to take the lesson, you will repeat the cycle. So you'll go into another relationship and do the same thing all over again on repeat. It's got to go in here. The answers are in here. They're not out there. They're not coming from somebody else. You'll notice when, with this energy exchange that we're all doing with everybody, you're sitting with some people and you just feel so good next to them. You feel happy when you're with them. You feel light. You feel comforted. And then you can be with somebody else and you feel really drained. Are they also getting drained from you though? Or are you offering them? Are they draining your energy because you're offering them some of your energy as to comfort them? I think what we do is we focus too much on the other person, like that other person didn't give me what I wanted, rather than also seeing it, I was actually giving them something too, wasn't I? It's always, don't just look at the other person, look at yourself too. So what happens when we change, right? So we go through an experience. Let's say we go through an experience with somebody. We're no longer in their life. We've parted ways. We're not around their energy anymore. And we're a different person. Does it matter to you that they know you're a different person? Do you want to keep trying to go back to that same person to say, look, I'm different now. I'm a better person now? Because if you need to go back to them to let them know, that's your ego. That's just your ego. And another question I asked somebody the other day, if you had a really bad relationship with a parent or a sibling or a friend or an ex-partner or whatever, and it turned out so nasty that you just decided to walk away. You just walked away. If you found out that they were now a totally different person, and from what they'd gone through with you, they learnt so much about themselves, would you feel happy for them? Or would you feel like, why weren't they like that with me? Why did I get the bad version of them and someone else is getting the good version of them? If you're thinking like that, that's your ego that is still hurt. You're not looking at it like you were the one that changed them so they could move on to somebody else and be a better person. That's a very selfless act on your behalf. You've put yourself in a position where you've gone through a really difficult experience to then allow somebody to grow, to move on, and show that gratitude to somebody else. If it bothers you, your ego is still controlling your thoughts. If it doesn't bother you and you are so happy that they have moved on and they are a different person and they're so nicer to somebody else, you have reached a really high level of emotional intelligence and awareness where you can see the benefit of what that relationship was all about. You can see why you were together. You could see what you were meant to learn. You could see what they were meant to learn. And when your energy is away from one another, you can't repeat that cycle because you're not in each other's space. When you're in a room with somebody, you're feeling their energy, they're feeling your energy. When you're away from them, you don't feel it as much. You can still feel it energetically from a distance, but it's not like when they're right in the house with you. That's why you feel better when you go for a walk on your own, just get away from people, because you just want to break that energy cycle. That's what it's for. So have a think about the people that have been in your life that you no longer have much to do with, whether you've had a falling out with them, whether you just moved on and you grew. Rather than going back and always remembering how they were, also think they're different people now. You're a different person. They're a different person. You don't have to keep remembering how they were. And I know a lot of you probably, if you thought someone was so bad, you probably think they can never change. They will never, ever change. They will always be the same. You don't know that. You don't know what they're thinking. You might be able to, you can see people's actions and you can make judgment from their actions, but you never know what somebody else is thinking. So yeah, have a little think about, am I hanging on to what someone else did to me? And I have to deal with that. What am I trying to heal there? What did they show me? What do I need to forgive myself for being in that situation? Like work on those areas, and the easiest way to do that is through meditation or journaling. I love journaling. I write myself a question like, why does this bother me? And then I write the answer back to myself because it's there. The answer's there. It's just when it's down on paper, you can kind of, it comes back at you. It's better than a thought going around and around in your mind. When you read it back to yourself, it sticks. So it's just a way, because at the moment we're all trying to heal so much that we've been hanging on to for so many years and suppressing it. And I'll tell you, that book that I was reading about with the emotions connecting to disease in our body, when we hold an emotion and we don't deal with it at the time and we make an area of our body weak, and then when something happens, an injury happens or another emotion happens, we can create a disease or an injury in that particular part of the body. As I've been reading things that I've had wrong with me, and then I've been dealing with when did it start, and what was I feeling at the time, and who was I blaming, and what was I not dealing with. When I've been doing that and now saying to myself, it's okay that I didn't deal with it at the time, I'm going to deal with it right now, I've cleared up so much stuff, like health stuff. As you can tell, have I croaked during talking today? My voice is a lot better. So I think I'm clearing a lot of stuff by doing this work. So I hope you have a chance to do that with yourself. Have a think about it and start shifting and healing some things within yourself. So I don't know who else is in lockdown. I think Victoria and New South Wales might be. South Australia is, and not a lot has changes for me because I work from home anyway. So, but it's just that I have now got my kids and their girlfriends in the house in lockdown, so because they can't go to work, so it's getting a little bit noisy here, and there seems to be an awful lot more dishes and food being eaten, dishes on the sink. So, but that's not a big deal, is it? There's a lot worse things going on in the world. So I just thought I'd talk to you today and see if we can help some of you clear up what you're hanging on to and any anger that you might be feeling, and just help that to be released. So I hope everyone has a nice day, and I will talk to you soon.